Hello, everybody. My name is Ana Rezende, and in this podcast, I will share my transformational journey to become a health coach. In each episode, I will address a different subject that impacts our health, whether physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. Because I've learned that being healthy means being in balance. If you would like to make amazing discoveries, improve your health, get inspired, and yet find sustainable ways to live and help the planet, tune in. You are in the right place. I'm your host, Ana Rezende, and Good is What Makes You Feel Well is Mama Terra's podcast.
Toma banho de cachoeira, abraça uma pessoa amiga, corre na chuva, escala a montanha, contempla a vista, transcende, levita.
Today's guest is someone who turned a personal struggle into a powerful purpose. In 2015, Jeanne was diagnosed with panic disorder, a life-altering moment that disrupted everything: her plans, her dreams, and her sense of self. But from that breaking point, something beautiful began to emerge. Out of the ashes of anxiety, Jeanne founded FIGGI Beauty, a skincare brand born from her own experience with sensitive skin, worsened by chronic stress. Drawing from her deep personal insight and her advanced certificate in cosmetic chemistry, Jeanne created a line of luxurious, effective, and gentle products centered around one remarkable ingredient: South African Rooibos extract. More than just skincare, FIGGI is a reflection of Jeanne's journey, one of resilience, calm, and care. Her mission? To help others restore peace to their skin and their lives, especially those of us navigating sensitivity both inside and out. In this conversation, she shares her story and the successful journey to found FIGGI Beauty. Please welcome Dr. Jeanne Retief. Hello, Jeanne.
Hello, it's so nice to see you again, and I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, welcome to Good is What Makes You Feel Well.
Oh, I love that name.
It's a cool name, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that too. Thank you. For us to start our conversation, I would like to ask you what, in this moment of your life, makes you feel well?
Oh, I would say anything that grounds me at the moment because I feel very untethered. I have a lot happening in my life. I have a lot going on in all different spheres of my life. So anything that gives me a moment of feeling solid and firm and secure is what makes me feel well.
Oh, that is wonderful. And what are those things for you? Just some
It changes.
examples.
Yeah, it changes from time to time, but I would say the one I go back to the most would be bare feet bum on the ground next to my best friend, a willow tree in my garden. There's something about the silence around it and feeling the nature that just grounds me. And then at the moment for me also my husband and my daughter. It's so amazing to come out of a day where you're so wrapped out in your own stress and have a glimpse into somebody else's life and what things they experienced in their day and how it lights up their face or changes their demeanor. That just kind of draws you out of whatever it is that's keeping you inside your mind.
Yeah. Yeah, that is so interesting. I love that. So you feel grounded too when you are able to get out of your own day and then enter the experience of another person's day.
Yeah, because I think when you're always so inside of your mind with your own things, it becomes like a hamster wheel, and you start to struggle to see things clearly, like problems seem bigger than they are, worries seem more excessive than they perhaps are, and it's so nice it's almost like taking a stroll through somebody else's garden.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Very interesting. I love that. So, tell me how this concept of feeling well or how feeling well for you has evolved throughout your life.
I don't think I had a very good relationship with well or wellness in my life because I come from a very difficult family situation. I also come from an era before wellness and mindfulness and mental health was a thing. And even when it started to kind of come out more and more, I wasn't surrounded by people that followed that narrative, cared for that narrative. So it's never something I interacted with. So I grew up in a house with a lot of generational trauma, childhood abuse, undiagnosed mental illnesses. I had a very chaotic young adult life. I made very bad decisions. So it took me a long time to get to a journey where I even started questioning whether the path that I was on was related to something heading towards a good space, and then what did a good space mean, and then how did that come about, and then going into this whole little rabbit hole of wellness and mindfulness. I would say my journey with that really began in 2015, in my 30s only, when I was diagnosed with panic disorder.
Mm.
That changed a lot in my life and the way I viewed my life and how I showed up for myself and for others. And I've always had this survival fire in me. And when I was diagnosed, it kind of just burned brighter. So I had to get through this. I had to work around this. I had to figure out a way to kind of coexist with this. And that led me into a lot of wellness journeys and explorations in an effort to make myself well.
Mhm. So, how do you view the panic disorder now? Is it under control? What have you learned from it?
Well, one of the biggest things that I've learned from it is that this is the way that I am wired. I
Mm.
will always be wired this way. Relapses will happen no matter how hard I try to avoid them because it's just the nature of this disorder. So that's the biggest lesson that I've learned. And that leads into how do I manage it? I do my best every day, but it changes. I've learned to understand what some of my triggers are. I've learned to work with them, but life still happens. I can't, foresee every curveball and every stumbling block, or every celebration. So I think for me, it's just knowing that every day I get up and I've tried my best. And my best is not going to be the same as yesterday's best or
Mm.
tomorrow's best. So I can't measure that against each other. I have to do the best with what I have that day. And I think that's what kind of keeps me steady.
I see. I see. So you were diagnosed even before COVID, right?
Yeah.
So I wonder how the pandemic was for you, like dealing with that diagnosis.
I don't think the pandemic had as direct effect on me as I think it had on many others because we immigrated from South Africa to Portugal 3 weeks before lockdown, global lockdown. And I was in international human rights and criminal law, and I could work remotely.
Okay.
And because of my panic disorder and just because of my personality and how I'm wired, I was never a very social person. So isolation was really not
Mm.
anything for me that was stressful. But what did happen to me was a culmination of things. The avoidance of my diagnosis and not having managed it at all up until that point. The stress of immigration, learning a new language, figuring out how to have a global business all of a sudden. And then basically the breaking of not dealing with my diagnosis. It caught up to me. And instead of running and hiding from it like I usually did by traveling or throwing myself into work, I wasn't able to do that. I had to now stare this monster straight in the face. And that was by far the hardest thing I have ever had to do.
I see. Oh my gosh. So you were working with the international
My expertise were in international criminal and human rights law.
criminal. Yes.
Yeah. And I had my own consultancy. So I worked in the global space and I worked in the African development community a lot. I was in that space for probably 17 years. But after this breaking, I had to do something different. I had to figure out something different with my life. And that's why I headed into a new path, which was FIGGI, because a large part of, I think, what kept me sick was that everything became about avoidance for me, about shame, about guilt, about secrecy. And nobody was supposed to know that I had this because I didn't want to be seen as lesser than or somebody that can't handle stress or that can't do the job as well as somebody else. And it is a very real thing to contend with in the legal profession. It's very competitive, it's very brutal. Um, and I needed to change course in a way and in a space where I can be more honest with myself and honest about my journey so that I could also heal. And yeah, shifts had to be made. But I will say how I am explaining this, it sounds like everything kind of happened according to plan and I figured these things out and now I am where I am, but everything I'm explaining up to now was a brutal, harsh, heartbreaking journey. It was hard to get here, and it is hard to keep it going every single day. It's tough sometimes. Most days, you accept this is the way you are wired. You accept that these are the gifts that have been given to you. But some days you get up and you just feel exhausted. Like, I don't
Mhm.
want to do this anymore. I don't want to fight this battle. I don't want to be in survival mode. I don't want to be checking how that I meditated today and how many times I ate and am I having enough protein and did I sleep well? Because these are all triggers for my panic disorder. The many, many, many pieces of the puzzle that need to keep moving every single day in order for me to keep having a good foundation. And sometimes it's exhausting.
Yeah, of course, I understand that. And yeah, I hear you. Yeah, it is. It is hard to keep track of everything. Yeah. So tell me, how was your work in South Africa? Was it stressful or just the fact that you were trying to manage your health during that time?
I loved my job. I always knew I wanted to go into human rights, always, even as a first year law student. And this was the dream for me. And the fact that my consultancy did so well and that I built this up from the ground when everybody thought this was the stupidest idea ever was just incredible to me. But it did involve an insane amount of traveling.
Mm.
Very little time to look after you, your body clock, the way you move and breathe and be with yourself. Like very high quantities and volumes of work that needed to sometimes be done very, very urgently. Like this is not out of the norm for many people in the corporate industry. And I think at the end of the day, It wasn't the late nights, it wasn't the traveling, it wasn't the hundreds of time zones. It was the late nights and the traveling and the time zones and the not eating well and the avoiding my past that all kind of just culminated into this general breaking.
Yeah. Yeah, because those are just layers. So now that you know your triggers and you mentioned sleep and diet and grounding practices, do you have a wellness routine that you try to? I know it's stressful to keep track of
Yeah.
everything every day, but do you have kind of a routine that you follow?
Yeah, routine for me is absolutely necessary and very key in my everyday life. So, one of the things, for example, is I must have a good bedtime routine because a lack of sleep is one of my biggest triggers. So when I leave the office, my phone immediately goes into a completely different room in the house where it charges for the night. And I have no digital interaction except for watching maybe a TV program with my husband. But an hour and a half before I'm ready to lay down my head on the pillow, I go to my bedroom. I write in my journal. I drink a tea. I just reflect on the day. Maybe I listen to some meditative music. Maybe I meditate, whatever it is. I just get really comfortable and sleepy, and then I go to sleep. So, and a key part in that was getting my daughter into a good bedtime routine because when she's sleeping well, I sleep well. So she has a set bedtime. There are no arguments. There are no fusses. So, that's key to me. Another thing that I have to keep track of is eating regularly because if I don't, I get shaky, I get nauseous, I get dizzy, and then it kind of sends the alarm bell to my brain that I may be having a panic attack, and then it all goes awry from there. So I eat every 3 hours. I make sure I always have protein snacks with me. These are just some of the things that I do. Another key symptom for me is really a lot of issues with my gut because obviously the mind and the gut is connected. So, irritable bowel syndrome, I really, really struggle with. I've done all the tests, I've done the low FODMAP, I've done everything. So now I just try to eat a low, if I can, inflammatory or anti-inflammatory diet, which seems to work very well for me. So there's all these things to keep track of, but I would say those are that and obviously exercise are my main things that I try to consistently do every day.
Mhm. Yeah, that is so important. Not just when you have a diagnosis, but like
Yeah.
for keeping your balance as a whole integral being, right? Yeah, that is awesome. So you mentioned your daughter. How old is she?
She's 7 now.
Okay, yeah, she's
Yeah.
still young. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's gonna be so good for her to see that you take care of yourself and you have all those things that you practice every day, that you pay attention every day. Then she will look up to you and hopefully she will make good choices when she's adult because she has had the example, right?
I really hope so. I mean, she already has her own journal. She loves doodling in it and writing in it, and she loves reading her own little book before bedtime and drinking her tea. So, you know, and when she's stressed, she will do her own little grounding practices. And these aren't things that I have purposely taught her. She has just seen me do it and kind of imitated it
Mm-hmm.
and then started asking questions about it. So I really do hope so because I think it's one of the most incredible gifts we can give to our children is the understanding of your emotions and how your body works and the signals your mind is sending you. That's just not a conversation we ever had in my generation. That's not
Mm-hmm.
blame on parents or teachers or anything. It just didn't exist in my generation. It's just not something, we didn't have Google and
Yeah. And no
or
YouTube.
social media or
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we didn't have
no,
any venues to learn from like they
mm,
do today. Yeah.
no. I mean, you had libraries and I mean, that's about it. So these things all came later in life.
Hmm. So the transition you mentioned from South Africa to Portugal, then at the same time you changed jobs and started your own business.
Yeah, so I had my own consultancy, so I was already working for myself.
Okay.
I just didn't feel that it was right for me to go back into the human rights space in the space that I was in. So I decided to start the skincare line because it's it deals with one of my biggest external symptoms of my panic disorder, which is really sensitive skin. And it felt like I was in this tornado, in this whirlwind, and I just had so many things I had no control over. And I wanted to have something within this diagnosis something tangible that I could feel I could have at least some control over. And this was something I could do. I knew about this wonderful ingredient, Rooibos tea, that grows in South Africa. I've always loved skincare, and I knew I had to go back to school to understand how to formulate, which was in itself a saving grace because it was an opportunity for me to keep my mind busy,
Mm.
and to have structure and to have routine because I had worksheets to submit and exams to prepare for, and you know, leaving one alone with one's own thoughts when you are so overly anxious is not a good idea. So it's good to be useful and feel your mind working and exploring new ideas and challenging yourself in new ways. So it was really actually at the end a very life-changing experience, but it was certainly for sure not something I chose. If the breaking didn't happen, if all of these dominoes didn't fall in this way, I don't think I would have freely chosen to give up my human rights career. I mean, I was so committed to it. I was so passionate about it. I mean, I completed a PhD in it, so I had to have some commitment to what I thought I was going to do for the rest of my life. But life always surprises you, I guess.
Absolutely. And then you went back to school to learn how to formulate, and how was that?
Yeah, I did a certificate in cosmetic chemistry so that I could
Okay.
understand what went into my products, how do they mix together, work together, or don't work together, what are the ingredient percentages that we need. That was about a 2-year journey. So that was a real commitment. That was not just doing something for a month or so. It was a lot of work and it was hard work and it was a challenge for me because I didn't even have science at school as an elective. I had business, economy, and something else. So I went into it feeling so stupid, really, because I thought I would never be able to do this. I won't be able to understand it. I don't even know how to do it. So that kind of small victory in its own was a lot to set me on a more positive course, that I could do this, that I could show myself I could do this thing that I never ever thought I would be able to do.
And then you developed your own formulas after you finished your school, and then your skincare line was born.
Yes, exactly right. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So tell me about that now. How did you pick the name and why? And how have you decided to go to a clean line of skincare products?
So the name, it's actually so silly. I love figs. They are my favorite fruit. And I was eating a fig one day thinking about the name that I'm going to give to this company, and this name Figgy kept on coming up, and I just thought it's so silly. It would never work. And it just wouldn't leave my mind. So I decided to do some research into the significance of a fig. And it symbolizes feminine energy and that we are all co-creators of our own destiny. And it just felt like the perfect summary of my life and my journey and what I wanted Figgy to be. It just felt like it fit. And Figgy is just so fun to say. Like it's so hard to be angry when you say Figgy. So that's how it was born. That's really where it came from.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And then you've decided to go clean because that is how you believe.
Yeah. So for us, and that's the thing that I love about Figgy is, and I think it comes from my legal background, I like facts and I like research. So we don't purport to be a clean beauty brand. We don't do clean washing or greenwashing. Our products are free from ingredients that have been scientifically proven to be common irritants to sensitive skin. So no fragrance, no essential oils, no artificial colorants. But we don't fearmonger these ingredients because if you don't have a problem with fragrance, if you're not sensitive to it, then, there's no reason to avoid it. So Figgy is more based on consciously choosing what is right for your skin type and what may or may not work for your skin type. So equally so, if somebody with very oily, acne-prone skin were to use Figgy, they probably wouldn't have a very good experience with it because it really is formulated for dry, sensitive skin.
Mhm. Okay. And what kind of products do you have?
So, because it is for dry and sensitive skin, it's very important to go back to the absolute basics in your regime because us sensitive souls can't always handle all the extra. So, the line consists out of a double cleanse, which is your makeup removal and then your gel cleanser to make sure you get everything off, a day and a night cream. And those are really the staples you should have in your routine. And our day cream is antioxidant enriched, so it takes care of your dark spots and your free radical damage. And the night cream is the ultimate restoration. So it has a lot of healing properties in it, like provitamin B5, rooibos, jojoba oils, urea, and tripeptides for elasticity and collagen. And only within the last year did we launch two new products, which is a Miracle Mist. It's really a mist that you can use for anything from bug bites to skin irritations to setting your makeup to hydration. And we just won the Universal Beauty Award for that one
Wow,
as the best toning
cool.
mist. So we're so, so happy.
Congratulations.
Thank
Yes, of
you.
course.
And the Slow Glow Serum, which is our first and the only anti-aging type of treatment that we will launch because we are so sensitive to it. So it took me 2 years to develop that formula because I had to figure out a way to make retinol non as least as possible irritating to sensitive skin. So it was how are we going to marry it? What is the percentage? How is it encapsulated to really make sure it is the gentlest, most effective way to have a targeted treatment for sensitive skin.
That is awesome. So do you actually work on a lab on those formulations?
So we have a manufacturer and they have a lab with chemists. Usually, it would be very hard for you to have that kind of relationship with them where you will have access to the chemist. And this was one of the things that was very important to me. So I cultivated that agreement and that relationship. But how it would work is I would formulate with all of my equipment in my kitchen. I would say exactly what I want in the formulation. I did all the research on what the percentages are that we need to use of certain ingredients to be sensitive skin friendly. I would be very restrictive and clear on those. Then they would mix it up on a larger batch or scale, add the like efficacy tests and all of those things. I would test it, say if I approve, we would change it, send it back. So this whole process took about 2.5 years.
So the factory is actually located in Portugal, is that correct?
No, it's in Taiwan.
Okay. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. So that's a long distance relationship.
Yeah, it is. We manufacture in Taiwan. We are based and sell in the US, and then we've just opened in the UK as well.
Mm, that is so interesting. Do you have any physical stores or you just sell the products online?
So in the UK, we just opened our own flagship store in Scotland 3 weeks ago, where we have an online store, FIGGIBeautyUK.com, where you can also buy. By the end of the year, we should be in a few retailers. In the US, we're on Target.com, our own website, FIGGIBeauty.com, Amp Beauty, and up and down the East Coast in a number of small boutique stores.
That is so awesome. And how long have you been working on your skincare line?
So I started this journey in the beginning of 2021. The proverbial doors to the actual store opened in February 2023 because, as I said, the research and development part was took a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, so in 2 years you have it in all those places and with physical stores and online stores all over. That is
Yeah.
really, really an awesome milestone.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, congratulations. That's awesome. And tell me why you chose Portugal.
We wanted to make a move and we needed to be in a more central position for our different offices for both me and my husband. And we wanted to be in a place with fair time zone, difference. So Portugal's pretty central for that. And also, we're South African, so we're used to really nice hot weather all the time. So we didn't think we would be able to survive anywhere else in Europe. I mean, we're literally in probably the sunniest of places in Europe, and we still suffer. So
And where are you?
we're just a little bit south of Lisbon.
Okay. And that
Yeah.
is the Costa Vicentina or not?
No, it's in the Santarém municipality.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you speak Portuguese now?
A little bit, not as well as my daughter does. She likes to often remind and correct me. So, but I can understand and I can help myself in like a social situation, but I'm not going to be winning any grammar awards anytime soon.
So she's going to school there.
Yes, she is. She started going to school here. So we moved when she was 2. Up until then, she was at home with us and the nanny. And then when she started kindergarten, she started here. So she started her little school career in Portuguese.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That is so, so cool. Oh my gosh. Portugal is in my plans too. So we
You've
are,
never been here?
no, no, no. We've been
Oh,
there.
okay.
We have it in our plans to move.
Oh, okay. Yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
people are moving here now. Yeah.
Yeah. So we are thinking maybe a little bit souther than you.
The
Um,
Algarve.
Alentejo,
Yes,
actually. So it's a little bit further down. And well, I want to be close to the beach. So that's
that's
why I
probably
asked.
good. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. But
Oh, that's
anyway,
amazing.
yeah,
I'm
we might
sure
be
you will be
close.
happy.
Yeah. That is what I am looking for, a sunny place too. And I want it to be warm and in Europe. So
hmm
I think there are just a few options, and
Yeah.
Portugal seems to be a very good one for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially there are a lot of Americans moving to Portugal now, but they tend to be in the Lisbon metro. And then in the Algarve, there's a huge British community.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay. And why have you decided to open your store in the UK?
So I have this wonderful sales manager that's been with Figgy since the beginning, basically, and she lives in Scotland.
Mm,
And We've always wanted to open a store. I've always had roots in Scotland. I just love being there. I connect with the people
Mm.
so deeply. And this opportunity really just came our way. It wasn't in the plans at all. And then this whole culmination of, just coincidental events, I guess, came together and it just worked out.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So tell me about the package. Do you use any plastic at all in your brand? How does that
Yeah.
work?
Yeah, so the cleansers that we use are ISO certified, biodegradable. So they are probably one of the latest materials, environmentally friendly that you can use. They're completely, like I say, biodegradable, recyclable. Then the tubes that we use for our creams are also fully recyclable. Yeah, and that's the only two packages that we use. We don't have any other packaging.
Hmm. And then they ship from Taiwan
Yes.
to,
Yes, we have warehouses in the US, we have warehouses in the UK. So depending, where we keep how much stock we ship to those.
wow. Wow. I'm amazed how you were able to do all that in just 2 years and you have all the the logistics figured out. And
Thank
even though
you.
you have your manufacturing in Taiwan, you can make it all work. That is a lot.
Yeah.
That is a lot. That is awesome. So, and that is, of course, what you use in your skin, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and you have beautiful skin.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
So you keep your routine, your diet. Do you have any dietary restrictions other than you said you keep always protein snacks with you? Anything else special, different, or any framework you use on your diet?
I don't do well with any type of beans or, like a shelled,
Legumes?
yeah, legumes. But no, I don't have dietary restrictions. I feel that I do the best when I do everything in moderation and balance. So I don't eat any legumes because I know it makes my tummy hurt. And I try to keep a low lactose because I know it makes my tummy hurt. But, you know, if we're gonna have friends over on a Friday night and we're gonna break out the beautiful Portuguese cheeses, I'm not gonna decline to indulge. I know what I'm doing to myself. So I just try to keep it in moderation, make sure I'm getting everything or as much of everything as I need, and go from there.
Hmm. Perfect. And have you been able to manage your, how do you call it? Do you call it a crisis when you have a panic attack?
Yeah, a panic attack.
Okay.
Yeah. The thing about that is when you are in a panic attack, there really isn't actually something as managing it. You just have to ride through it. Because when you're already in a panic attack, it's very hard to stop it. Very hard. For me, no medication, nothing helps it once you're in the throes of it. You just have to get through it. Hopefully have a support system with you that can coach you through it. That's where it helps to kind of understand your triggers and what works for you and what doesn't, that which is trial and error and is brutal and it takes time. But yeah, that's the only way through it. The best way to manage it in quotation marks is to prevent it.
Hmm.
But you can't always prevent it. That's the nature of a panic disorder. You don't always know when it's going to happen. Some of the triggers you can work with and manage. But because my panic disorder is born from post-traumatic stress, there can be random things that happen that trigger my trauma that I would never have known to even take off as one of my triggers, and that will always be something that can happen. So for me, it's more about understanding the prevention methods, doing my best to ride through it when it does happen, and just knowing that it was just a bad day. I went from having bad days every single day to a bad day once a week to once a month. So I'm not going to ruminate about it. I'm not going to excessively worry and overthink it. It was a bad day. Tomorrow I can get up and I can try again, and we can reset the clock, and we can have a new go.
Yeah, that is the perfect mindset. Yeah. Work one day at a time, moment by moment. That is awesome. Is there anything else that I didn't ask that you want to mention?
No, I mean, I think it's just so nice for me to have these opportunities to speak about this journey. And I'm always so grateful for the time that you and your listeners dedicate to this, because time is our most valuable asset, and I'm always so immensely grateful for that.
No, thank you so much. And I think it's really important for us to share those stories, and for people that do have panic attacks or panic disorders, I think it's so important to share what worked for you. Of course, everybody will be different and everybody will have their own journeys, but it's important to share because then they can try. They know that there is a way through it. There are tools that they can use to identify and to prevent or to minimize the number of occurrences and all that. So I think sharing those stories is really important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time. I think we mentioned everything. I will have all your contact information in the show notes, but you mentioned FIGGI Beauty, right?
FIGGIBeauty.com, and that will take you everywhere you need to go, all the places you can buy.
Yeah. And then for your social medias, do you want to mention anything?
You can find us on Instagram at figgy.beauty.
Okay. And that's it.
That's it.
Okay, perfect. So I'll have that in the show notes so people can find you and follow you and hopefully buy your beautiful and nice skincare products at FIGGI Beauty. Awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for listening. It means a lot to me that you chose to be here. To help Mama Terra's mission of making the world a disease-free place for generations to come, you can follow the show, write a review, or talk to your friends about it. You can also subscribe to my newsletter. Every week, I craft good health and wellness tips, recipes, and book recommendations with love and care, just for you. My intention is to give you information and resources to help you make good choices and feel well. Find the link to subscribe in the show notes. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Thank you again for being here. We have lots of new episodes coming up, so stay tuned. And remember, good is what makes you feel well.
Transcende, levita, toma banho de cachoeira, abraça uma pessoa amiga, corre na chuva, escala